The Texas Longhorns are the number one ranked team in the United States of America. Wow, that sounds impressive. But they've got an injured quarterback. That might be a problem. Let's talk about it next. Hey everybody, Brian Davis from A to Z Sports here, covering the Longhorns here in Austin. You know, it sounds crazy to just say it out loud. The Texas Longhorns are the number one ranked team in America. I mean, you got to kind of sit with it for a second, mull it over, let it digest. If you have been around since we thought the cake was baked, we thought winning was hard, we had botched coin flips, we had extra points bounce off the uprights, we had Maryland came into Texas and put it on the horns. Two, not one, but two losses to the Kansas Jayhawks over the years. So many more just crazy, chaotic moments. Wow. And yet here they are, the number one team in America. Steve Sarkisian was 5-7 in his first year in 2022. An eight win season the following year, then the CFP. Now they have a program that not only is good enough to be number one, but good enough to leapfrog Georgia in the polls. I quite honestly couldn't believe it. Georgia had a 13-12 win at Kentucky. I really felt like no SEC team is going to be hurt or penalized, I guess, as it were. If you go get an SEC road win, the Georgia Bulldogs were. Texas moved up to number one this week for the first time since the 2008 season. For the players, Steve Sarkisian today at the Monday press conference, they were all very low-key about it. And you know what? They're kind of right. It's not a big deal. It's only week 4. There's a whole lot of football left. You know what? And they're right. Still, it's a pretty neat deal for those of you who have been with the program for a long time, long-suffering fans in some cases. Texas has always been one of the upper-level teams. To see that number one ranking there, that's pretty special. So before we get to talking about the quarterbacks, I want to touch on the defense real quick, because I think the defense is a big reason why Texas has also got that number one ranking. They've only allowed 19 points in the first 3 games this season. That ties the low watermark set in 1983 when they allowed 19 points in the first 3 games. We saw last Saturday against UTSA, only allowed 7 points, and that was on Robert Henry's big long touchdown run, kind of on a jailbreak deal there. So the defense is playing really, really well. The players today talked about Pete Kwiatkowski's play calling, how everything seems to be humming along, humming on point. They finally got 3 sacks on Saturday, which was really big. The numbers hadn't been looking too good, but Colin Simmons led the way with a sack, some more tackles for loss. And just to hear the defensive players tell it that they just think things are going fantastic right now. They're not going to get tested all that much against Louisiana Monroe, a really good running team. Monroe is also 2-0, but Monroe is also going to come to Austin as a 45-point underdog. We'll talk more about Louisiana Monroe later in the week. But right now, let's talk about what a lot of you probably want to hear about, and that's the quarterback situation. Steve Sarkisian told reporters on Monday that Quinn is day-to-day, and my first thought was, well, aren't we all? But in this case, day-to-day with an abdominal strain. It was one of those deals where when he made the throw to Gunnar Helm, who went and hurdled a guy and was making a big run, Quinn was the one on the other end of the play feeling weird, tweak that side there. Sark said Monday that he told Quinn, go down to a knee, go down on the field, and let's figure it out. And that's exactly what happened. Quinn got up, walked off, went to the locker room, and put on street clothes. And we all know what happened after that. Backup quarterback Arch Manning came into the fray and just lit the whole stadium on fire. 4 touchdown throws, a 67-yard touchdown run. Arch Manning, for his part, was named the SEC Co-Freshman of the Week. It's quite a mouthful from the league office there. But a nice weekly award for Arch Manning. It's the 3rd game and the 3rd week in a row that a Texas player has won a weekly award from the SEC office. Not bad, right? But we know that Arch Manning is great. Okay, he's clearly shown that. We know Arch Manning is the quarterback of the future. No question about that. Should Arch Manning be the guy this year? I say no. I still say no. I still 100% believe this is Quinn Ewers' team, and it should still be his team. Quinn Ewers is the face of the program right now. Arch will get his time, but it is not his time in the grand scheme of things. It's time to play this week, no doubt about it. Sark would not rule Quinn out for the Louisiana Monroe game. I think it would be ludicrous if Quinn Ewers steps anywhere near that field on Saturday. Again, Texas is a 45-point favorite. But you're a football player. You want to play football games. You don't get that many opportunities. If Quinn can play, he might try to play. Again, I don't think he should. Sark said that Quinn would be listed as questionable if the SEC was requiring them to put out an injury report this week. They don't have to do that. They'll start that next week in the SEC opener against Mississippi State, right? As college football maneuvers to a more, or at least the SEC maneuvers to a more NFL-style injury report. So Quinn day to day, most likely week to week, he's still going to be listed as questionable next week as well. Sark hinted at that. It wouldn't shock me if Quinn is listed as questionable next week. Depends on how all of his rehab and everything goes this week. But nonetheless, Texas is really set with their quarterback situation right now with Arch Manning. I don't want to call it an embarrassment of riches because you have to really give a hat tip to Sark, for he's the one that got out and went out and did the recruiting. Remember, they had 3 guys last year. They had Malik Murphy, 2, right? And he's transferred to Duke, doing really well for the Duke Blue Devils. So I don't know of many teams that have 2 legitimate Heisman caliber players, number 1 and number 2, on their roster at the current time. We obviously know that it can be done. You look at Alabama. And what they've done in the past. When Sark was there on the staff as offensive coordinator under Saban. That's the model that they've been pitching to these recruits and other players. How can you come here, still be a top flight recruit, but if there's someone like a Quinn Ewers or an Arch Manning in your way, right? Texas has certainly shown that they can recruit that way, and they can do it as well. But that's going to be it for right now. Don't forget, you can follow it all on atozsports.com/Longhorns. Come and see us all week. We'll have lots of interesting stories leading up to Saturday's game against Louisiana Monroe. But that's it for now. I'm Brian Davis. Thanks a lot.